Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi emplanes for Russia's Kazan for the 16th BRICS Summit, the first BRICS summit since its expansion from 5 to 9 members. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits West Asia for new Gaza ceasefire push. Israel carries out new airstrikes in Beirut. In the US, electioneering at its peak ahead of November 5th polls. Kamala Harris campaigns in 3 key swing states. Trump visits hurricane-hit North Carolina. Indian coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha on high alert as coastal Dana approaches. Landfall expected near temple town Puri on Thursday. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is enplaned for Russia's Kazan on Tuesday for the 16th BRICS Summit. Prime Minister issued departure statement, and I quote him. Up your screens, we have the departure statement by the Prime Minister. I am departing today on a 2-day visit to Kazan at the invitation of Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, to attend the 16th BRICS Summit. India values the close cooperation within BRICS, which has emerged as an important platform for dialogue and discussion on issues concerning the global developmental agenda, reformed multilateralism, climate change, economic cooperation, building resilient supply chains, promoting cultural and people-to-people connect. Also, the expansion of BRICS with the addition of new members last year has added to its inclusivity and agenda for global good. Building upon the annual summit held in July 2024 in Moscow, my visit to Kazan will further reinforce the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. I look forward to meeting other leaders from BRICS as well.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Russia to attend the 16th BRICS Summit in Kazan. The summit, themed Strengthening Multilateralism for Global Development and Security, provides a key platform for BRICS nations to address challenges, review progress on existing initiatives, and explore future areas of cooperation. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi is expected to hold bilateral meetings with leaders. These talks will focus on strengthening strategic partnerships and expanding cooperation in crucial sectors such as trade, defense, and technology.
This is a multilateral event, though of course there is always a provision for bilateral meetings on the sidelines. We are currently looking into the overall program of the Prime Minister. There are a number of requests for bilateral meetings.
28 heads of government and 5 international organizations will participate in the summit. Prime Minister's attendance will highlight India's growing diplomatic and economic engagement with BRICS, focusing on enhancing multilateral collaboration.
Some of the important issues that are on the agenda is further expansion of economic cooperation, trade settlement in national currencies, sustainable development, work towards further digital inclusion, financial inclusion of the marginalized sections of society, and share with the fellow members of BRICS some of the achievements in India, women-led development, DPI or UPI.
The city of Kazan has been prepared as the focal point of the summit, with BRICS insignia almost everywhere in the city. The summit's agenda would include both regional and global issues and also focus on political, economics and humanitarian partnerships among BRICS member nations. Security cooperation would also be a key feature at this event, since the leaders will be here with their high-level delegations to talk about more issues.
Prime Minister Modi's participation in the summit reflects India's increasingly significant role in shaping the BRICS agenda, particularly in areas like economic collaboration, global governance, and multipolarity. India's stance is consistent with its previous calls for reforms in multilateral institutions, emphasizing the need for these bodies to address the contemporary challenges of emerging economies. This focus on reforming multilateralism and fostering a multipolar world was reinforced by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in New York last month. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's attendance at the 16th BRICS Summit offers a crucial platform for advancing India's diplomatic and economic objectives. With a focus on reforms, global governance, trade, and security, India's participation will reinforce its strategic partnerships with BRICS and further its role in shaping a more equitable, multipolar world order. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
All right, Jessica Taneja joins us from Kazan, Russia. Jessica, good morning. Now, the Prime Minister is emplaned for Kazan and he will be reaching in the afternoon. Get us more on, we've seen the detailed report of yours wherein you talk of the agenda for the 16th BRICS Summit. Help us understand the role which India would play with regard to its participation at the BRICS Summit.
That's correct. The BRICS Summit here in Kazan will be very crucial, Preeti, with the way you look at the geopolitical situation and also quite a lot of regional issues. But with the Prime Minister's arrival today, expect a reception at the hotel here in Kazan. There's an Indian community event where the diaspora eagerly awaits to meet with the Prime Minister every time he arrives in Russia or anywhere in any part of the world. So we would see the engagement with the community today, and later in the evening, of course, there's a bilateral meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin as well to take stock of what all the two leaders had discussed and decided and were prioritizing in their last visit. You recall in July when the team met. As far as the BRICS Summit is concerned, the agenda, as you mentioned in that report, is pretty clear. It is to look into the security cooperation between various other regions and also expect partner countries to be announced at this BRICS Summit, something very crucial. Although the group has expanded to an extent to include a lot of players from West Asia, which could add a lot of weight to the BRICS Summit, seen as a grouping which could, if not challenge, but present a very strong and fortified front when it comes to the existing order established by the G7 post-World War. Now the BRICS countries, ever since the inception of BRICS, the movement for reform has been quite strong, and expect that to come up in this summit as well. And what these countries decide in terms of how their trade cooperation can be enhanced, that would particularly be the focus. And also looking at a financial system, not so much focus particularly on de-dollarization, if any. To what extent are we looking at de-dollarization, wherein the use of local currencies would certainly gain momentum?
All right, so trade, use of local currency and other issues will be on the agenda. But then, Jessica, from this year onwards, we see that BRICS has expanded from 5 to 9 members. Get us more on what do these new countries, new members bring to the table? How significant is this? And secondly, an expanded BRICS, what does it, hold for on the global page for these countries? How important is this grouping on the global page, and what does world look at? How does world look at the 16th BRICS Summit?
Well, all eyes are on how the summit progresses and what the declaration would be at the end of it. But the reason it has driven so much interest is it has potentially, emerged as a grouping which has all the regional players not included in the West, particularly not put up as an anti-West front. At least for India, it's just a non-Western front trying to find its own space outside the existing order that was set up again, as I mentioned, by the G7 countries. But at the same time, BRICS nations also strive to find more economic cooperation, and that particularly remains to be the focus. And if you think from that aspect, joining of UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Iran certainly helps firm up the group's economic enhancement, especially with OPEC countries now joining in. And, that would include, in fact, 40% of the world's oil that would come under the BRICS grouping. So I think that is crucial that the addition of these countries have been, which took place in the start of the year, will certainly benefit the grouping in the longer run, apart from just being the oil behemoths. It also adds weight, to the grouping and its outreach.
All right, Jessica, when we talk of the BRICS summit, you also told us that the Prime Minister will be meeting Russian President today. Are any more bilateral meetings lined up on the sidelines of the summit?
Well, today we will get to understand, Preeti, as to how many meetings will take between the Prime Minister and the BRICS leaders. We're given to understand that the his Brazilian counterpart will not be in attendance, while there is the Chinese President, Xi Jinping, who will be here along with, we're given to understand the Iranian President, Masoud Pezeshkian, would also be here, but not many details around that. So we haven't been confirmed as to if the bilateral talks are going to be taking place between the two. But what has been confirmed so far is with the Russian President. I think as and when the day progresses, and this is a multilateral forum, remember, so both sides and the bilateral meetings are planned quite in a very quick turnaround. So expect that there would be multiple polar sides and meetings, but that will be that information should be available later in the evening, and that should get clarity. But yes, expect a lot of bilaterals and polar sides with even partner countries in dialogue and countries that have invited for dialogue.
All right, Jessica, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. All right, India-Russia cultural ties have been strengthened over the years. Students in Kazan have embraced art forms, leading to various collaborations. Jessica Taneja spoke to Angelica Day. Let's listen in.
We have with us Angelica Day. She's a medical student here in Kazan. Angelica, thank you for speaking to DD India. You've been living here for quite some time now. Talk to us about the cultural ties that you've been able to embrace while you've been here.
What I found fascinating about my city Kazan here is Kazan tries to celebrate all the cultural events that we celebrate in India, like the pujas, Durga Puja, Diwali, Holi, and also Ganesh Chaturthi, which we celebrate in the hostels as well. So I like the way people in Kazan try to celebrate the culture and tradition of India as well.
Right, and tell us about the significance of all of this and point out some examples to us if you can.
Kazan is a city where people from all religions, they stay together. Just like India is a secular state, I have seen that Kazan celebrates all cultures and traditions together. People from different countries, they live happily together here, and also people from different parts of the states of India, they're also living happily here. So that's a very lovely and a fascinating thing that I've seen from my first year of education here in Russia.
What's the one prominent thing about the Indian culture that the city has been able to embrace?
They like our festival. They like the food which we eat, because some find it spicy, but others find it very interesting, the way we cook it, the patience that we have while we cook it, and also they love Bollywood a lot.
Right. And Angelica, how do you plan to take this forward? You're a dancer, you've been part of many recitals. How does the future look like while you're here?
Since first year, I've tried to engage myself in different cultural events portraying the Indian culture. I am a dancer of Uday Shankar dance style, and I've tried to portray this dance style all across Russia. In Kazan, we celebrate an event called as Den Inostrany Studentov, where students of different countries, they put up their cultural performances in front of the audience. I've been a part of that too, and in future, I will try to expand Indian culture as much as possible here.
Right. Thank you, Angelica, for giving us those details.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, we'll give you all the updates on the upcoming state assembly polls in Jharkhand and Maharashtra. Delhi is once again engulfed in a thick smog. Grab 2 invoked in the capital. AIIMS RML's doctors call off 11-day strike after SC appeal and assurance.
geopolitics and trade deals, economic challenges amid development, hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. To further bolster defence ties between India and Singapore, Defence Minister of both the countries will co-chair the 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue in New Delhi on October 22nd. The meeting, chaired by India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Singaporean counterpart, aims to carry forward defence cooperation between the two sides. Both sides will also exchange views on regional and global issues of shared interest. India and Singapore share a comprehensive strategic partnership. The bilateral defence relations form a significant pillar of this collaboration. Now, the engagements have diversified to include wide-ranging contacts between the services, military-to-military exchanges, high-level visits, capacity building and training programs, cooperation in UN peacekeeping, ship visits and bilateral exercises. Indian Army Sudarshan Chakra Corps under the Southern Command is conducting exercise Swalamban Shakti at the Babina Field firing ranges in northern state of Uttar Pradesh. The exercises are being held in a bid to bolster combat capabilities through the integration of cutting-edge and emerging technologies. The exercise focuses on ensuring preparedness for future conflict scenarios and playing a pivotal role in shaping the force's modernization efforts. Around 1,800 personnel, 210 armoured vehicles, 50 specialist vehicles and various aviation assets participated in the drill. In addition, over 50 new technology equipment from more than 40 leading industry partners, including DRDO labs and innovative defence startups, are being showcased during the event. India's Finance Minister and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday interacted with students of Columbia University in New York. The Indian Finance Minister also delivered a keynote address on India's economic resilience and prospects amid a challenging and uncertain global environment. Sitharaman is currently on a two-nation visit to Mexico and the US. The Indian minister also participated in an engaging fireside chat on India's decadal economic reforms and also continued economic growth, and that was held with Chairman and CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna, at the Economic Club of New York on Monday. During her US visit, the Indian Finance Minister held a meeting with the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of BlackRock, Lawrence Douglas Fink, in New York, in fact. The two discussed opportunities for global investors through NIIF and Gift City, as well as opportunities for financing of green tech and battery storage. Fink has informed Sitharaman that BlackRock is working with private partners in India, especially focusing on infrastructure development. Sitharaman also met Jane Fraser, the CEO of Citibank. The two discussed the use of AI in important sectors such as agriculture and urban development, as well as India's booming pharmaceutical sector and hub for the world. The finance minister also discussed India's banking sector in view of the decadal reforms and the way forward for India. She also lauded the crucial reforms India has taken for infra creation to build an ecosystem around MSMEs and said that it is important to make MSMEs a part of the supply chains. Let's get you updates on the upcoming state assembly polls now. The Election Commission of India will issue a notification for Phase 2 assembly polls across 38 assembly constituencies of the East Indian state of Jharkhand on Tuesday. Election for the second and final phase will be held on November 20th. The notification will also be issued for assembly elections in West Indian state of Maharashtra across 288 assembly constituencies. The single-phased polls will be held on November 20th, while counting of votes will be taken up on November 23rd. The Central Election Commission of Congress on Monday released a list of 21 candidates for the upcoming Jharkhand Assembly elections. The party has fielded Ajay Kumar from Jamshedpur East, Irfan Ansari from Jamtara, Pradeep Yadav from Porahat, Jaiprakash Patel from Mandu, Banna Gupta from Jamshedpur West and Rameshwar Oran from Lohadaga. The elections will take place in two phases on November 13th and November 20th, and counting is scheduled for November 23rd. Delhi is once again engulfed in a triple environmental crisis as the national capital grapples with a thick smog. Amid worsening air quality, the Commission for Air Quality Management on Monday ordered the implementation of GRAP 2 in Delhi NCR. In its order, the Commission has urged the citizens to use public transport and minimize the use of personal vehicles. People in Delhi NCR have been urged to use technology and take less congested routes, even if slightly longer. The air quality in Delhi deteriorates every year before winters due to various reasons, including farm fires and pollutants. In the National Capital Region, the air quality is said to be severely dangerous for citizens, especially those who suffer from respiratory issues and other life-threatening diseases. The Yamuna River, already burdened by high levels of pollution, experiences exacerbated conditions leading to the infamous froth during the post-monsoon months and the onset of winter. Let's get to weather updates now. Indian coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha are on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches. According to the Met Department, Cyclone Dana is likely to strike the North Odisha and Bengal coasts between Puri and Sagar Island during Thursday night and early Friday morning as a severe cyclonic storm. Advising fishermen not to venture into the sea between October 23rd and 25th, the weathermen warned that wind speed is likely to reach 60 kilometers per hour along and off the Odisha West Bengal coast from Wednesday and gradually increase to 100 to 110 kilometers per hour, gusting to 120 kilometers per hour from October 24th night till October 25th morning. The weather system will bring light to moderate rains along the coasts and in South Bengal, including Kolkata, beginning Wednesday. For Odisha, a red warning has been issued for heavy to very heavy rainfall with isolated extremely heavy rainfall and thunderstorms with lightning in Puri, Khurda, Ganjam and Jagatsinghpur districts on October 24th. In other news, in West Bengal, junior doctors have called off their hunger strike after a 2-hour-long meeting with State Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata on Monday. The doctors had been on a fast unto death since October 5th, calling for justice for R.G. Kar Medical College medic who was raped and murdered on August 9th. Doctors also announced to withdraw the proposed complete strike by all the doctors, including the senior medical practitioners, which was scheduled for Tuesday. The protesting doctors, however, maintained after their general body meeting that their movement over the issue will continue. It was announced in the meeting that the safety of doctors and other staff members will be ensured at medical colleges and hospitals. Also, the Chief Minister directed to constitute a state-level 10-member task force with 5 representatives each from the government and the junior doctors. At least one woman will represent the junior doctors in the task force. India's External Affairs Minister announced that India and China have reached an agreement on patrolling along the line of actual control, and with that, both nations have gone back to where the situation was in 2020.
I think it's a good development. It's a positive development, and I would say it's a product of very patient and very persevering diplomacy. That, you know, at various points of time, people almost gave up. On the one hand, we had to obviously do the counter deployments, but side by side, we have been negotiating. We've been negotiating in fact since September of 2020, when I met my counterpart, Mr. Wangi, in Moscow at that time. The fact is, if we are able, as we now have, to reach an understanding regarding patrolling, regarding maintaining observing the sanctity of the LAC. Then I think what it does is it creates a basis that the peace and tranquility which there should be in the border areas, which there was before 2020, hopefully we will be able to come back to that peace and tranquility.
A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. India's apex court will review its earlier decision regarding the NEET UG 2024 admissions today. The petition seeks to overturn the court's previous ruling, which found no merit in the claims of irregularities during the NEET undergraduate examination. Earlier on Monday, the Supreme Court extended the deadline by 2 weeks for a centre-appointed expert panel to submit the report on NEET UG exam reforms after reviewing the National Testing Agency's handling of the exam. To tackle the rush during this festive season, India's Northern Railway is operating around 3,000 festival special trains to ensure smooth travel for the passengers. Now, these special trains will be operated till 30th of November. Apart from special trains, extra coaches are being augmented in trains to generate more capacity for travel. An art and culture exhibition was held in the western state of Gujarat's Rajkot. The exhibition displayed work of several artists from 27 states on the eve of Diwali to protect their art and culture. With an effort to promote the rich heritage of classical dance, a classical dance evening titled Celestial Rhythms was organized in Shimla's iconic Gaiety Theatre. The event was organized by a local Kathak Academy in collaboration with the state government. The event showcased dancers ranging from 4 to 55 years of age. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, US says it will be a dangerous move for North Korea to send troops to Ukraine. Power restored to most of Cuban capital Hawaii after nationwide blackout. Research shows ancient meteoroid was like a giant fertilizer bomb for life on Earth.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is emplaned for Russia's Kazan for the 16th BRICS Summit. First BRICS Summit since its expansion from 5 to 9 members. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits West Asia for new Gaza ceasefire push. Israel carries out new airstrikes in Beirut. In the US, electioneering at its peak ahead of November 5 polls. Kamala Harris campaigns in 3 key swing states. Trump visits hurricane-hit North Carolina. Indian coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches. Landfall expected near Temple Town, Puri on Thursday. To launch another push for an elusive ceasefire in West Asia, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel on Tuesday, aiming to revive Gaza ceasefire talks. Now, this is Blinken's 11th trip to the region since the attack on Israel by Hamas on October 7th last year that triggered the Gaza conflict. In a week-long trip, Blinken will visit Jordan on Wednesday and Doha as well, and will focus discussions on how to end the war. In his meetings with Israel and Arab countries, Blinken will drill down on day-after issues, particularly security, governance and reconstruction. Having detailed plans for each of these has been seen as the prerequisites for achieving any lasting resolution to the conflict. The Secretary of the State will also discuss with Israel and other countries how to secure a diplomatic resolution to the conflict with Hezbollah, and will continue Washington's conversation with the Israelis about their expected response to Iran's missile attack. The retaliation could disrupt oil markets and risk further escalating conflict between the arch enemies. Though Hamas and Israel remain deeply at odds and are unlikely to make significant concessions before the November 5th U.S. presidential election, which could upend the U.S. policy. Earlier, U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein held talks with Lebanese officials in Beirut on Monday on conditions for a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. He said the U.S. was seeking to determine what more needed to be done to make sure it was implemented fairly, accurately and transparently. Amid the efforts to find peace in West Asia, explosions rocked southern suburbs of Beirut on Monday morning. The Israeli military said it struck a Hezbollah terrorist target near the hospital and the facility was not hit. It added that the armed group systematically embeds its terrorist assets into the civilian population. Israel says it aims to drive Hezbollah terrorists from the border region so tens of thousands of Israelis can return to homes. They were forced to flee over the past year due to Hezbollah cross-border fire in solidarity with Palestinians during the conflict with Gaza. Israel has accused Hezbollah of hiding more than $500 million in gold and cash in a secret bunker beneath a Beirut hospital, while saying there were no plans to attack the building. The Al Sahel hospital in Beirut's southern suburbs was being evacuated following Israeli claims that Hezbollah cash bunker is located beneath it. All right, Amit Mukherjee is joining us from New Delhi. Amit, from the US side, we see efforts are being made to achieve the elusive ceasefire, be it with Hamas or be it with Lebanon. You tell us, how are the events unfolding and what do we expect?
Well, Preeti, as far as the strategy of Israel is concerned, we have seen a slight shift right now because, in the last 2 days, it has been targeting facilities which are basically financial institutions backing Hezbollah operations. Basically, these are places, these are organizations which have been funding most of the operations of Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as, in the adjoining areas, the places from which the attacks are being launched onto Israel. So the main focus of Israel right now is to target all these assets and financial institutions which have been funding, which have been paying salaries to Hezbollah operatives and also engaging in various activities to mobilize opinion in their favor in Lebanon. So in fact, it has also eliminated one of the chiefs of Hezbollah, financial chiefs, who was responsible for transferring of funds from Iran into Lebanese territories for the Hezbollah operatives, to kind of fund the operations against Israel. So it is very, very clear, apart from the fact that they have been attacking places which are actually launch pads as well as arms depots of Hezbollah in Lebanon territories. They are now targeting people and network which are associated with financing all these terror activities in not only in Lebanon, also in Gaza. So the plan is very, very clear right now. And even though talks of ceasefire are on, Israel is very, very clear that it is going to go whole hog as far as eliminating all these launch pads, which have been quite a pain for Israel since October 7th, when Hamas operatives had actually breached the wall and gone inside Israel, abducted people, conducted mass killings, and taken away hostages to Gaza. So for over the years, this has been happening, and now Israel is very, very determined to kind of eliminate everything from the root, and which is why, apart from just targeting all the strongholds of Hezbollah, the launch pads, the arms depots, the weapon facilities and all, they are also looking at dismantling the entire funding machinery of Hezbollah. Preeti?
All right, Amit, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. All right, let's turn focus to the U.S. election race now. With 2 weeks to the election day in the U.S., Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are intensifying their efforts to sway the voters, especially in the swing states. Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate for the U.S. presidency, focused her efforts on attracting moderate voters in 3 key swing states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Michigan, with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney to court undecided independents and the Republicans. Harris said during the campaign event in Michigan that Trump would have Ukraine surrender to Russia if he won the November presidential election.
He would surrender. He would have Ukraine surrender its fight against an aggressor, violating its sovereignty. If Donald Trump were president, Vladimir Putin will be sitting in Kyiv.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump criticized the government's handling of Hurricane Helene during his visit to the hard-hit state of North Carolina. At a rally, Trump reiterated conspiracy theories about the government's response to the disaster. Trump doubles down on sharp attacks against his Democratic rival, adding that the vice president is a mess.
Kamala Harris does not have the compassion, the smarts, or the strength to be the President of the United States. She just can't do the job. She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we? Did you ever hear the expression that the vote counter is far more important than the candidate? And unfortunately, we can't let that happen. We've got to take it back.
Our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh joins us from New York. Hi, Shubhendu. When we talk of the election race in the U.S., then both the contenders are up against each other with their war of words. But then get us more as to how is the election battle, the election excitement there brewing up?
Well, these are the final few days in the run-up to the big election day, Preeti. As you mentioned, both the contenders are in the swing states. Wisconsin, Michigan and Philadelphia is what Kamala Harris in the next few days is likely to cover. North Carolina is where Donald Trump is headed. Philadelphia, remember, has been a slightly bluish state in terms of the support that it sort of gives to the Democrats. But in the local politics, in the local legislations, we also see pockets where the Republicans are emerging as strong, and that's what makes this contest very, very complicated. Swing states are the states which are likely to determine who the next president is going to be. But even within the swing states, the polls, the data suggests that it is going to be a cracker of a contest. North Carolina, which was severely affected by Cyclone Helene, and the kind of push that Donald Trump is making there to also say that the federal government did not do enough to prevent or for the reconstruction of the communities post the cyclone. So those are ways in which he's also pushing into areas where the Republicans have an edge. So in the final weeks, in the final days in the run-up to the election, we see both the contenders really putting their weight behind in these very crucial swing states. Preeti?
All right, yes, both the contenders are putting their weight behind in the swing states. Shubhendu, help us understand how crucial are these swing states, and to what extent can they have a bearing on the election results?
They're hugely important, Preeti. We have to understand that the manner in which the politics of United States unfolds, there are 50 states, and different states historically have been supporting either the Democrats or the Republicans. What I'm trying to say is that most of the states, there is greater clarity vis-a-vis the historical data. Traditionally, they have either supported the Democrats or the Republicans. Just for an example, I'm here in New York, which is traditionally called a blue state. The likelihood of a Democrat contender winning from here has been very high over the years. Similarly, Florida, which is also Donald Trump's home state, is considered a red state, which is a Republican stronghold. Now, swing states, the 7 swing states is what really makes a difference in this contest, because the states that you already know you are strong at and that you're likely to win, perhaps the resources, the energy that you would invest there is going to be limited. The focus is going to be on these swing states, which includes, as I mentioned, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Philadelphia, North Carolina, and others. These are the states which will finally determine who the president is going to be, because for the other states, broadly, the political experts think they know which are the party, which are the candidates who are going to be on top. And the swing states will finally determine who will make it to the White House, Preeti. So in that sense, the real contest, the real election is taking place in these swing states.
All right, so swing states are the, are bearing the flavor of the election race. Shubhendu, also help us understand what are the expectations of the Indian Americans there, because Indian Americans form a very important, part of the population there in the US. What are the expectations and how crucial, how important as a vote bank are they in these elections?
That's an interesting question, Preeti, and different aspects to it. Look, we have to see that in terms of percentage, there are about 5 million Indian Americans in the United States, approximately. Now, that comprises about 1.2, 1.4% of the population. Very small percentage is what I'm trying to say. But their influence is very significant. They are very well-to-do. They've done well in different domains of the society, from medicine to technology to academics and other areas. And also the Indian American community this time over also finds itself amidst a great interest and curiosity within America. You have on the one hand a candidate like Kamala Harris with Indian roots. On the other hand, Donald Trump and his choice of vice presidential candidate, his wife, Usha, also has Indian origin. So in that sense, although the population percentage is small, we see Indian American, the reference to them and their expectations at the heart of these elections. So in that sense, there is a lot of excitement among them. They see a lot of stake, as it were, in these elections. And where I am in New York, adjacent New Jersey, there are about 400,000 Indian Americans who are based here, the most dense population of Indian Americans in the United States. So here in particular, in local legislatures, you have Indian Americans being elected. So there is a lot of excitement. There is also a lot of stake that they find themselves in. And there are also issues in which they are putting their weight behind. One particular one is of checking illegal immigration, because when illegal immigration is not taken care of, the legal immigration, people who take official visa, apply for asylum or such cases, those are the people who are going to get affected. So that particular area is close to the Indian community. So in that sense, hugely significant, the manner in which Indian American community, Preeti, is taking center stage in these elections.
All right, Shubhendu, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And now we get to updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Deputy United States Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, said that it would be a dangerous and highly concerning development if North Korea is sending soldiers to fight alongside Russia in Ukraine in the United Nations Security Council on Monday.
We have seen reports the DPRK has sent forces and is preparing to send additional soldiers to Ukraine to fight alongside Russia. If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development and an obvious deepening of the DPRK-Russia military relationship. We are consulting with our allies and partners on the implications of such a dramatic move.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha met Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara for talks on cooperation in the defense sector and also the importance of free navigation in the Black Sea on Monday during a visit to Turkey. Turkey has offered to act as an intermediary to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict and has endeavored to maintain good ties with both Moscow and Kyiv. Britain will lend £2.26 billion to Ukraine as part of a much larger planned loan from the group of 7 nations to help buy weapons and rebuild damaged infrastructure. Defence Minister John Healey said that the money donated by Britain would be solely for Ukraine's military. He also added the use of Britain's share of G7 loan had been a feature of talks between Ukrainian President Zelensky and UK Prime Minister Starmer in talks in London 2 weeks ago. Tropical storm Oscar dumped heavy rain across eastern Cuba on Monday after making a landfall as a Category 1 hurricane on the island, already beleaguered by a massive power outage. Storm left 6 people dead and caused severe damage in the eastern province of Guantanamo. And electricity is slowly returning to Havana, Cuba's capital, after a nationwide blackout plunged the country of 10 million into total darkness on Friday. According to Cuban officials, power has been restored to almost 90% of Havana. Over the weekend, Havana was entirely blocked out, in fact blacked out at night, with streets largely deserted and only a handful of bars and homes running on small fuel-fired generators. The ongoing blackouts have led to food spoilage and a decrease in tourist activities, with some tourists cancelling their trips to avoid inconvenience. Now a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. 9 people, including 7 teenage members of a rowing team, were killed in a road collision in southern Brazil. The van carrying the team was hit by a truck and apparently suffered brake failure. Supporters of Cameroon's ruling party lined the road in a vibrant display of loyalty and enthusiasm as President Paul Biya and his wife Chantal made their way back home after several weeks abroad. The return was a significant moment for Biya supporters, who viewed it as a reaffirmation of stability at times of uncertainty. A group of Peruvian students teamed up with an indigenous community to release over 160 yellow-spotted river turtle hatchlings into the wild. More than 500 turtles have been procured and released with a 91% hatching success rate. South Korean researchers from the Mobile Robotics Lab at Seoul Tech have developed a new aerial cargo transportation platform called Pelletron, which can be controlled by direct human interaction while maintaining in-air stability. Researchers are also exploring potential integration with smart city infrastructure, enhancing the effectiveness of the urban delivery systems. The space rock that slammed into Earth 66 million years ago at the end of Cretaceous period caused a global calamity that doomed the dinosaurs and many other life forms. But that was far from the largest meteorite to strike our planet. As new research shows, the disaster actually may have been beneficial for the early evolution of life by serving as a giant fertilizer bomb for the bacteria and other single-celled organisms called archaea that held dominion at that time, providing success to the key nutrients phosphorus and iron. Three years after Meta shut down facial recognition software on Facebook amid a groundswell of privacy and regulator pushbacks, the social media giant said on Tuesday that it is testing the service again as part of a crackdown on celeb-bait scams. Now, Meta said that it will enroll about 50,000 public figures in a trial which involves automatically comparing their Facebook profile photos with images used in suspected scam advertisements. If the images match and Meta believes the ads are scams, it will block them. Striking mechanists at the Boeing will vote on a new contract proposal that includes a 35% pay hike over 4 years that could end a costly 5-week-old strike. Around 33,000 of Boeing's unionized West Coast workers, mostly in Washington state, have been on strike since September 13th. The work stoppage has halted production of models, including the best-selling 737 MAX narrow-body jets. All right, on to sports now. South African paceman Kagiso Rabada claimed the 300th test wicket as Bangladesh were bowled out for 106 in their opening innings on the first day of the first test in Mirpur. Rabada became the fastest to take 300 test wickets and broke former Pakistan pacer Waqar Younis's record. South Africa were 140 for 6 in reply when bad light stopped the play with a 34-run lead after a day of attrition for batsmen as a total of 16 wickets fell. Kylie Verreynne and Ryan Mulder will resume batting on Tuesday. England white ball captain Jos Buttler will not play in the one-day international series against West Indies starting later this month. Buttler is yet to recover from a calf injury. However, the 34-year-old wicketkeeper batter will lead England's T20 side against West Indies. In Buttler's absence, all-rounder Liam Livingstone will be England's stand-in captain in the 3-match ODI series, which begins on October 31st. Arsenal hit the training pitch as they prepare to clash against the Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk in the UEFA Champions League match on Tuesday night. Manager Mikel Arteta's side host Shakhtar on Tuesday following a goalless draw in their opener at Atlanta and a 2-0 home victory over Paris Saint-Germain, leaving them 13th in the new Champions League format with 4 points from 2 games. Meanwhile, Shakhtar are winless in their Champions League campaign after a goalless draw at Bologna and a 3-0 loss to Atlanta. The team has had to adjust to playing on the road, having moved out of Donetsk a decade ago. Dr. Malika Nadda, President of Special Olympics Bharat, unveiled the official jersey for the Asia Pacific Hockey and Bowling competition that is set for November 18 to 23 in Delhi. 12 teams and over 250 athletes and staff will participate in the event. Athlete Shivani, a triple gold medalist at the Berlin Special Olympics, has been named brand ambassador of the event.
President of Special Olympics Bharat, Dr. Malika Nadda, unveiled the official jersey for the upcoming Special Olympics Asia Pacific Bocce and Bowling competition in Delhi. The event will take place from November 18 to 23. 12 teams from across the Asia-Pacific region will participate with over 250 athletes and support staff expected to attend.
Special Olympics Bharat is all geared up and prepared for this event where 12 countries will be participating. We hope that such events will not only pave a way in future for World Games, but also it will keep Bharat program in the national and international stage.
On this occasion, athlete Shivani was named the brand ambassador for the competition.
I am proud to be the athlete ambassador for Olympic Bharat for the Olympic Bharat Asia Pacific Bocce and Bowling competition 2024. My journey in sport has changed my life. It has given me the strength to overcome challenges and show the world that with hard work and belief anything is possible.
Children with intellectual disabilities also showcased their skills during the unveiling. Special Olympics Bharat continues its effort to uplift athletes with intellectual disabilities through health programs, education and unified sports. Narayan Singh's report, DD India.
The Times Square in New York City glittered with early Diwali celebrations over the weekend as hundreds of Indian community members and Americans came together to celebrate the Festival of Lights.
Celebration of Indian culture in the heart of New York. Times Square celebrates Happy Diwali. The Times Square in New York glittered with early Diwali celebrations last weekend as hundreds of Indian community members and Americans came together to celebrate the Festival of Lights. The event showcased vibrant performances from a variety of cultural groups. A special Diwali fair was also organized at the venue.
Well, it's a nice festival. I think that the energy is super good.
It's very significant. Diwali is the most important celebration for us. We come here every year. It's wonderful to be here.
even being a non-Indian and being exposed to this, it's extremely, it's entertaining. It's wonderful to be amongst the culture and the community and learning something that we're not used to.
I see a lot of brands here. I see a lot of people from everywhere around the world. Everybody is just involved in celebrating Diwali at Times Square, which is quite crazy, right?
Great representation of culture coming together. Be it Indian or, people from Bangladesh as well, people from, South Asia, a lot of countries, and Americans, everybody's together.
The Diwali celebrations at Times Square saw participation from an array of leaders from New York, including City Mayor Eric Adams, Jennifer Rajkumar from New York State Assembly, Senator Chuck Schumer, and Consul General of India in New York, Binay Pradhan, among others.
Diwali, which used to be considered as an Indian festival, is now being celebrated at the Times Square, not only by the Indian and Indian American, but also by the American mainstream people. This is in a way recognition of the achievement of Indian American community. This is in a way recognition of the India-US relationship, and also the relationship that has become multifaceted.
Since 2013, Diwali at Times Square seeks to promote India's rich culture, art, heritage and diversity. Diwali has also been officially recognized as a school holiday in New York City last year. Around 5 million Indian origin people reside in the US, with persons of Indian origin constituting the third largest Asian ethnic group in the United States. Diwali at Times Square turned out to be a memorable event. People from different cultures came together to celebrate the Indian Festival of Light. A mini India was created in the heart of New York. With camera person S. Jayashankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in New York.
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. Bart, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.